That's how you know this video is not for kids. The despotic king's stronghold is surrounded by a moat and high walls, on top of which are large iron spikes, on which he routinely changes out the collection of heads that at one time belonged to those deemed disloyal to the crown. The drawbridge is heavily fortified and is flanked by arrow slits that boast 3 archers on each side. Atop the walls, multiple archers also sit, ready to pepper any intruders with their razor-sharp arrows. Finally, according to your research, the whole place is protected from teleportation magic by the king's old wizard, who maintains a strong forbiddance spell, which makes unwanted entry to the castle grounds via magic very unlikely. Inside, there are soldiers who've been warned time and again that there will come an instance of some group of unwise meddlers that will try to kill him. His paranoia is matched only by his preparation against his own assassination. He's also the single source of all the problems of the kingdom, since he was long ago corrupted by the dark influence of a great old one, and is using his position of power to prepare the continent for the return of something so vast and terrible that it would swallow the world in its wake. That's where you come in. You are one of the last of the remaining folk of the wildlands, one of the last touched by the growing green, whose warmth and light created the very land on which you stand. One of the last who lived through the trials of the green to harness its raw, natural energy. You gather your allies into a tight group some miles from the castle in the sacred glade, and brief them on the plan. The wretched king, still fat from the feast he demanded brought to him, stares out of one of the windows of the tall tower where he keeps his throne room. Resistance groups have been quelled before, and talk of insurrection seems to have lessened of late. His iron grip on the land seems to be leaving the populace in fear, and a scared people is not a people who can organize against him. He watches as a flock of geese fly over the castle and grins a grisly, greasy grin. The goose at the lead of the flying formation suddenly deviates and swoops downward toward the courtyard. The rest of the flock break off, dive-bombing all the archers on the walls. As a few frantic shots fly against them, the scene changes into something far more strange and far more dangerous than just some kamikaze geese. Mere feet from the archers, the geese, dozens of geese, shift their forms into huge hulking beasts and crash into their targets. One of them is an entire swarm of snakes. One of them is a gigantic scorpion. One is a massive tiger with elongated, razor-sharp teeth. The fight begins, and the troops inside the walls start to react to this surprise incursion of deadly animals. Every few seconds, though, any animal that they manage to injure shifts its form into something else, and the onslaught continues until none are left but the horde of beasts standing atop the corpses of what were once the evil king's guard. The king stares in abject horror as the whole group shift, as one, into a swarm of flying insects, coalescing together and flooding into the window at which he stands. He stumbles back, falls onto his throne, and reaches blindly for the longsword that sits beside the chair. From this mass of insects, forms begin to coalesce. One by one, members of the Scourge of the Kingdom, as they are called by the king's administration, take shape. There with them is the Druid of the Northern Steppe, or, as your true title should be, the Speaker for the Wildlands. There too is your ally and friend, the Paladin Sir Donovan, leader of the coalition against the corrupt crown. You made it difficult to reach you for an audience, Your Highness, the Paladin says, and the other heroes take a step forward. Animal shapes. This level 8 transmutation spell is for druids and clever bards only. You choose any number of willing creatures within 30 feet of you, and they all become beasts of CR 4 or less, and size large or smaller. Basically, you grant your own wild shape to as many people as can fit within 30 feet of you, and can change any or all of them into other beasts for the duration of the spell, which is a hefty 24 hours with concentration using your action. They retain their mental stats, but they gain the physical stats of the creature that you turn them into. But Here's where it gets crazy though. When you make that willing creature change form, it gains the hit points of the form it takes. Whenever it takes a new form. Whenever. That means that you can throw like a dozen bears at someone, and as soon as they get even slightly injured, every turn you can just change them into another large beast with full hit points of that beast. Infinite hit points, so long as they don't get outright killed and you don't lose concentration. Furthermore, the spell states that the creatures must be within range of you to take their form initially, but do not state that they must be in range for you to change their form after the spell begins. Even if your DM rules that they do, you have a 30-foot radius circle with you as the center that makes this spell insane, so long as you maintain concentration. This is a crazy good spell to have in your high-level arsenal if you have just a little bit of creativity. The important thing to remember on this one also is that as a high-level druid, you can cast spells and maintain concentration while in your wild shape form. So you go, all allies, come within 30 feet of me, and then snap your fingers and all of them are bears, and then you're like, great, it's bear time. And you turn into a bear. Opponents of this spell's use will say that it's too high of a level to do as little as it does, or that it's not cool enough, but as will be the statement for every high-level spell, in the right context, any spell is the perfect one. So long as you can maintain concentration, which you should, you can have a veritable army of terrifying, shape-shifting, infinitely regenerating beasts to take on any collection of mundane foes. That's Animal Shapes. It's a spell that starts with A, so the next video that we're going to do is going to start with B, and I'm going to figure out what that is as we go. If you have suggestions as to which spell you want me to write a little vignette about and then talk about, put them in the comments, and maybe I will do them. I intend to do this for a whole bunch of spells. Maybe I'm not going to go directly in alphabetical order. Maybe I'll do a couple more A's or something like that, but this is a fun exercise for trying to figure out what instances a good 8th level or high level or weird leveled spell would be useful when it otherwise seems like it's not that good. So, we'll see. What do you think about Animal Shapes? Do you think that it's too high of a level? Do you think that it's not high enough of a level? Underpowered? Overpowered? Do you think that it should do something else? Tell me in the comments. Tell me whether or not this is a spell that you like. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. We do this thing at the end of every video, but if you did like it, please push the like button. That's still a thing, right? There used to be like a share feature. I don't know if that's a thing that even works anymore, but if you want to share it with somebody, like your D&D group or something like that, please do that. You can follow my socials. There's a Facebook, there's a Twitter. God, I need to do something with the Facebook. I keep saying that there's a Facebook, and then you guys might be following it, and I just never log onto it because I'm a rube. But there's a Discord that I'm on sometimes also as well. Go there if you want to do that thing. Thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. I had a root canal on Wednesday. It is currently Saturday, and the root canal is not quite done being awful, so...